welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you happen to be new here. My name is Andrea.M. and this is the Oz Files, The Truth Is Out Back. And today's video is by special request from one of my subscribers, CSM. This is for you. This is the penal colony at Tasmania, also known as Port Arthur, and it is said to be extremely haunted. But before we get into today's video, if you like a little bit of the unknown and the strange, if you also like real crime, if you like missing persons cases, if you like cold cases, if you like historical crime cases, and if you enjoy a little bit of the weird and the strange and the UFOs and a little bit of paranormal investigating thrown in, then you've come to just the right channel for you, because that's mainly all that I do here. And if all this is of interest to you, it would mean the world to me if you could do me the favor, if you haven't already, of subscribing and hitting the bell button so that you don't miss any of my videos. If you could repeatedly jump on the like button, that would also be great. And if you could share this video with your friends, that would also be greatly appreciated. And drop me a comment or two in the comments section below. You can tell me what you thought of today's video. You can tell me any theories that you might have on today's video. You can also make a request, as CSM did, and ask me if I can investigate a haunted site in Australia for you on the channel here. And hopefully we can also start going to a few sites after monetization of this channel occurs, and we can visit some of the other haunted sites all around Australia with Clarence Valley Paranormal. And our first Clarence Valley Paranormal video is going to be up next month, as that's when we're going to start investigating again. And you might have also noticed that the voodoo room's looking a little different today, and that's because we're going into autumn in Australia, and I just couldn't wait to decorate. So with all that out of the way, let's get into today's video. Port Arthur is a town and a former convict settlement on the Tasman Peninsula in Tasmania, Australia. It is located approximately 97 kilometres or 60 miles southeast of the state capital, Hobart. Tasmania is also listed on UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Port Arthur Penitentiary is one of the 11 penal sites constituting the Australian convict sites here in Oz. Port Arthur has a population of around 251 people, but that was as of 2016. I couldn't actually find anywhere it said what it was today. And Port Arthur was established in 1830. And as we said before, it's a World Heritage property consisting of 11 remnant penal sites originally built within the British Empire during the 18th and 19th centuries on fertile Australian coastal strips. Collectively, these sites, including Port Arthur, are described by UNESCO as the best surviving examples of large-scale convict transportation and colonial expansion of Europe through their presence and the labour of the convicts. In 1996, unfortunately, the town was the scene of the Port Arthur massacre, and it was the worst instance of mass murder in post-colonial Australian history, and I will be covering the Port Arthur massacre in an upcoming Real Crime Down Under, so stay tuned for that. So as we said before, Port Arthur is located about 97 kilometres southeast of the state capital, and it's a very scenic drive from Hobart via the Tasman Highway to Sorrel and the Arthur Highway to Port Arthur, and it takes around 90 minutes. You can also get to Port Arthur from Hobart via bus or ferry, and various companies offer day tours from Hobart into Port Arthur. It is also the site of one of Australia's most haunted sites that we have, the Port Arthur Penal Colony. As a place of heritage, the Port Arthur Historic Site in Tasmania, as we keep saying, provides a substantial representation of a colonial landscape. Principally associated with Australia's convict history, the vestiges that are found there today take the form of extant buildings, shorelines, cemeteries, exercise yards and cells. Port Arthur is also thought to harbour less tangible residues of its past in the form of ghostly apparitions and atmospheres. Indeed, it is often referred to as being one of the most haunted places in Australia. Sightings of ghosts among the ruins at Port Arthur began to occur in the 1870s, shortly after it ceased to function as a secondary punishment station. Such accounts of uncanny and eerie apparitions were not uncommon for the time. And this was because the 19th century, often referred to as the Golden Age, was also the Golden Age for paranormal activity. Designed to administer and discipline convicted felons transported to Van Diemen's Land from the UK, Port Arthur is a well-known site of dark heritage. And it's also earned the reputation of being one of Australia's most haunted landscapes. Associated as it is with pain, crime and deprivation, it should come as no surprise that the site has produced a wealth of stories about apparitions that remain unexplained to this day. Such anecdotes tend to revolve around the lives and ghosts of the men, women and children who once lived there, and reference strange feelings, swinging lights, soft touches, unnerving sounds and smells that vividly evoke the presence of the past. Within the mix, there are a handful more of frequently cited encounters that conjure particular presences, such as the lady in grey who died during childbirth, a young boy awaiting execution, a small girl with her pale face pressed up against the window of the medical officer's residence, a soldier wearing red in the Tower Cottage, and a disembodied head that hovers in the dissection room underneath the visiting magistrate's house. And that's just giving me a little bit of a giggle, the floating head. I don't know if any of you guys would ever have seen this or would even remember it, but when I was a kid, they used to have a lot of reruns on one of our only channels we had back then, which was the ABC, and one of the guys that was on it was Kenny Everett. And I'll try and get a picture of him actually doing this. I'm not sure if I can find one, but if I can, I'll pop it in. And he used to do like a floating head called Spod, and it was really funny. And that's just what that's reminding me of, is this disembodied head just hovering in the air. And I'm not even actually sure if that would scare me if I ever get to go to Tasmania to the penal colony for a look or an investigation, because all I'd be like is like, oh dude, that's Spud. Spud. Oh, Spud the floating head. Oh my goodness. That's just what that's conjured up in my mind. Anyway, let's just get on with the rest of it. So, a disembodied head that hovers in the dissection room underneath the visiting magistrate's house. These are the ghosts who have made themselves known on several occasions, providing Port Arthur's visitors with visceral links between physical spaces in which they stand and echoes of what is known to have happened there. It is referred to by some as assemblages of the dead. Actually sounds like my kind of place, so I'm going to have to go visit this place. The harsh living conditions and the manual labour these convicts undertook meant they often died very young and under horrible circumstances. And many believe they haunt the historic site to this day. Thousands of people tour the Port Arthur historic site every year, and many of them report creepily similar experiences. The disembodied laughter of children and a mysterious lady in blue. So many people reported seeing a blue lady who some believe is the ghost of a woman who was married to a Port Arthur accountant. The couple apparently lived in the penal colony during the 1800s. So one visitor to the site would go on to say, "I saw the figure of a lady in a crinoline dress and a bonnet with her arm outstretched. The woman had a pale dress from the waist to the ground." Another would say, "The figure of a youngish woman wearing a long blue-grey dress looking out the back door of the building." So the legend of the blue lady goes as follows. The woman and her baby died during childbirth, and so she keeps returning to that particular building day after day looking for her unborn child. And that's just such a sad story she's passed on. She may not even realise that she's dead and she's still looking for her baby. So heart goes out to the blue lady. It's actually quite sad. Others have reported seeing the ghost of a little girl who has fallen down the stairs at the Commandant's house. One of the visitors would say, I felt a little girl laying at the bottom of the stairs. Another person said that she had actually seen the little girl laying in a pool of blood and that her right arm is broken and she's very frightened. Another would go on to say, I could hear the little girl as I walked up the path. Her arm is twisted up under her and I felt like my arm was hers. And ghosts and spirits will often do that. If they're trying to show you what happened to them, they will manifest aches and pains and similar sensations in the body to get their point across of what happened to them, so that the people that are there wanting to communicate know exactly what went on and what they were feeling at that time. Many believe they can see the faces of children in the windows. While many tourists are haunted by the sound of children laughing and playing and running about, and the children run up and down the stairs playing and laughing, and on balmy, still summer nights you can hear them playing hopscotch and singing skipping songs. In 2015, a visitor captured some ghostly apparitions on camera during the tour and posted them to the Facebook page Australian Hauntings. And if I can find that particular Facebook page, if it's still in operation, I will drop a link in the description box below so you guys can go check it out. One photo shows the figure of a small boy lurking in one of the cells, while another photo is a ghostly white smudge. But possibly the most spine-tingling image is that of several ghostly childlike figures peering out the windows of one of the buildings. Whether or not you believe the legends of Port Arthur, its long history and haunting architecture are enough to send a tingle down your spine. Another ghost story doing the rounds of Port Arthur is that of Henry Jones and mischievous Millie. In 1859, George Peacock moved his jam-making business to a warehouse on the Old Wharf. A then 12-year-old Henry Jones began working at the factory, which became in time H. Jones & Co. IXL Jams. And if you can hear that noise in the background, that is my cat. He's currently having a chat with my husband. Go figure. The building still stands on Hunter Street at Hobart's Wharf, where the Drunken Admiral restaurant now operates. There are numerous tales of paranormal activity around that area, with sightings of a young girl named Millie and even Henry Jones himself. Drunken Admiral proprietor Craig Godfrey said many people have experienced strange things in the building, which is almost 200 years old. Millie is reported to be about 9 years old with red hair and a white bonnet. And he would go on to say that Millie gets up to all sorts of mischief. He said she turns the gas off and undoes the cook's aprons when they're not looking, and she moves things around. Mr. Godfrey said recently that a customer from Canada said she had a number of experiences while dining at the restaurant. She said there was a gentleman with a grey beard who was very upset about what was happening at the restaurant, and then he would go home and do a little bit of research, and he would find that the lady who had told him what she'd seen had actually nailed it, and that it was clearly Henry Jones himself. And then we move on to another spot in Tasmania in Port Arthur that is called Battery Point, and that is where its oldest ghost is said to reside. Narinya in Battery Point is an 1830s merchant's house, but now operates as a museum. It apparently has the area's longest serving ghost, and she was a young convict girl named Polly. Mr. Imbriotis, who I assume runs the museum, said it is not known exactly how Polly died, but the story does go that she was a young convict staff member who died when she was pregnant. And it is reported that she either fell or was pushed down the stairs, and it's said that she actually died there on the staircase where she fell. Another location said to be extremely haunted is the nearby Princess Park, and it is supposed to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. Mulgrave Battery was built in 1818 at the land that is now Princess Park. Mr. Imbriotis also said that the area which stored gunpowder and cannonballs is closed to the public as of now, but it is a fantastic site because it's convict construction, it's underground, and it's very old. And I will insert some pictures if I can find some of that. He said that the area was still believed to be home to Edward, who was known to hang out there when he was alive during the 1960s and 1970s, and apparently Edward was quite the lad, as he was always drinking and getting up to no good. And Edward has apparently decided that he wants to live his afterlife at this particular park, and it's said that he hangs around treating it like his own. And then we come back to the penitentiary itself. So the Hobart Convict Penitentiary, or Port Arthur Penal Colony, had more than 40,000 convicts pass through it while it was in operation. After convict transportation ceased, it became the Hobart Jail for over a century. In the 1800s, it was the site of many executions, and the building still contains courtrooms, underground tunnels, and gallows. The tour guides that run the ghost tours in Port Arthur are known to tell a number of stories, detailing with the recurring smell of blood near the gallows area and sightings of shadow people. The article in the University of Tasmania, the companion to the Tasmanian history, Will Mooney wrote that authors often put Tasmania's hauntedness down to the suffering experienced in the past. Ghost stories constitute a mythology which links Tasmanians to their island and its past, and it's a way of bridging the gap between place, history, time and space, he wrote. Certainly, patterns of haunting seem to correspond with convict sites and the pastoral and mining frontiers. However, the cultural backgrounds of the colonists, convicts and miners also influenced the development of a Tasmanian ghost story tradition. There are countless other buildings in Tasmania that have spooky tales, with Willow Court Asylum, and I will explore that a little bit more in depth on another Ozfiles, The Truth Is Out Back. Willow Court Asylum is top of the list of the most haunted. The Richmond Bridge and the Bush Inn in New Norfolk are also notable for signs of ghosts and apparitions. And I know many who watch the Ozfiles, The Truth Is Out Back, are confirmed skeptics who don't believe in ghosts, and that's absolutely fine. We don't all have the same bizarre experiences with the unknown. And skeptics are actually encouraged and welcome in my life, because they do bring a different viewpoint, and they help to keep the rest of us who just, well, me and my life has actually been saturated by the paranormal. So the paranormal to me is actually just another day, you know, it's normal to me because I've been aware since I was 3 of the paranormal. But I really do like, I have a couple of viewers who are skeptics, and they will tell me I don't believe in ghosts. And I actually think that's really wonderful, because I would love to have that luxury actually of not to believe in ghosts with some of the things that I've seen and I've encountered. But on the flip side of that, if the ghosts weren't, or they were suddenly gone or they weren't around anymore, I would actually miss them. You know, I just retained this from childhood. And that's why I'm still so interested in the paranormal, and come from a long line of witches, so it was kind of hard for it to miss me. But I actually really do like it when I have subscribers who are honest enough to put in the comment section, I don't believe in ghosts. And I think that's great, because we all can't be the same, and you guys are amazing, and I love how different each and every one of my subscribers are. So whether you're a true believer or a skeptic, you'll always be very welcome here, and so will your comments. That being said, I would actually really love to know, as I did mention before in the opener, have any of you ever been to Port Arthur or any of the historical places or the haunted tours? And did you see or feel anything otherworldly? Or is it just another reminder of a darker chapter in Australia's history? And unfortunately, that is where this Ozfile wraps up. I was actually surprised that it is quite a limited amount of information on the penal colony and the other haunted locations in Tasmania. However, there are a number of ghost tours available, and as I said before, once this channel reaches over 1,000 subscribers, I will be looking into trying to go on a trip to Tasmania to explore Port Arthur and the other haunted sites with my Clarence Valley Paranormal team. So if you guys would like to see that happen, please hit the subscribe button and help us get there. And I do so super appreciate everybody who turns up here every time I do post a video. I do check and I do get notifications when new people subscribe, and I'm always so excited to have new subscribers here to the channel. And this is why I try to do a few different videos for you guys, like they're like a little different show each time with a different subject, so that you get the Oz Files, which is all the weird happenings here in Australia. You get the real crime if you're interested in that, and Australian real crime. You get the missing people in case we might actually help to locate a missing person, or at least find out where they may be deceased so that we can get closure for their families. And yeah, we also cover the disasters down under, and a little bit of the paranormal thrown in, as I mentioned before, and then all the spooky fun goodness of the Oz Files. And to be honest, I really need to just make the Oz Files videos because it gives me a bit more of a fun subject to talk about amid all the missing and the murdered and the lost. You do need a little bit of light relief when you're doing that kind of content, and that's why it's nice to sort of talk to you guys about the cases as well, if you're interested in what I'm presenting to you, because it does take a fair bit of work to knock one of these videos out. It doesn't just happen. Today I think this is like it feels like my 300th take, because along with the seasons changing, it plays havoc with my asthma. So last time I tried to do a video, I had a sinus infection. I had an asthma attack just before this one, but I'm all good now. I took some medication so I could bring you this video. So that is why I'm always so super appreciative of everybody who watches, who likes, who subscribes, who comments, because it just means the world to me, and it lets me know that I'm making the right kind of content for you guys and that you guys really do appreciate what I'm doing, and that means a lot to me. So that's going to bring us to the end of today's video, and thank you all so much again for subscribing. And yeah, if you want me to cover some more haunted spooky sites from Australia, or if you would just like to throw me a spooky story that happened to you, as I said before, I will link the Clarence Valley Paranormal email in the description box below, where you can send me your stories and you'll get a shout out, and or you can remain anonymous as well. It's all good. It's completely up to you. But if you'd like to do that, that is fine as well. And I think that would be just absolutely great, because who doesn't love a good scary story? So as for today, that's going to do it. Thank you all again so much for tuning in, for subscribing, for liking and commenting, and also sharing. And I will see you all back here again very soon. Much love, take care, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye.